Shana Tova, everyone. I want to welcome you from wherever you are, whether here in our sanctuary or at home or with a friend, wherever you are. Say Shana Tova, and we're so glad you can join us for tonight's services as we welcome in the year of 5782. You can't see it, but I am smiling underneath, and I'm so glad we're able to do this. According to our rabbis, 5,782 years ago, at this very moment, Adam and Eve sat together. Earlier this morning, they were just born, and they had the most beautiful first day. They had the most delicious fruits and vegetables, and they began naming all of the animals and vegetation. And then they opened their eyes with wonder in the Garden of Eden, which is the Garden of Eden. The world had just been created. Adam and Eve were the very pinnacle of that creation. They looked at each other as the only two people in the world because, well, they were the only two people in the world. Everything was new. After all the hours of that first day, they arrived at this moment, the moment we inhabit right now. The sun began to set over the horizon. After first being in awe of the beautiful sunset, the bright yellow turning to different shades of orange, red, and purple, Adam and Eve suddenly see that the sun has disappeared and it is nowhere to be found. The world is becoming dark, and they feared the world was coming to an end. All night they wept beside each other in utter darkness. After hours of terror next to each other, holding each other, finally they started seeing some of that orange, red, and yellow begin to resurface. Some light began to shine over the horizon. As the morning arrived, when dawn came, Adam and Eve stood together, offering prayers of gratefulness and thanksgiving. Rosh Hashanah is our annual celebration of the culmination of the creation of the world with the creation of humanity. And the tension that lies inherent in that creation is that there's always going to be moments of darkness, terror, and fear. And there'll always be moments of light, of optimism, and of hope. What Adam and Eve did on that very first day is be there for each other, no matter what they faced. They walked through darkness and light together. This Rosh Hashanah, on our annual celebration of that first Rosh Hashanah of Adam and Eve, let us remember Adam and Eve. Let's celebrate all the victories of the last year, all the joys, all of the highs. Let's mourn all of the losses, all of the lows, all of the disappointments, missed opportunities. And let us do what Adam and Eve did. Let's walk through it together. So we'll continue by chanting as we traditionally do when we enter a sanctuary or whatever holy place you're entering to join us tonight. The words of Ma Tovu, how goodly are your tents, Jacob. We'll chant together with Chazan Ariel, whom we're so thrilled to have back with us this year, leading us in this meditation.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael.
And we'll continue in our machzor on page 3 with a special psalm we say as we welcome in a new month and a new year. Barchi nafshi, page 3.
Barchi nafshi et Adonai. Barchi nafshi et Adonai. Barchi nafshi et Adonai. Barchi nafshi et Adonai. וכל קרבי את שם קודשו, וכל קרבי את שם קודשו, וכל קרבי את שם קודשו, וכל קרבי את שם קודשו. ברכו אדוני מלך ברכו אדוני את כל מעשיו בכל מקומות ממשלתו ברכי נפשי את אדוני.
And we rise, if we're able, and turn to page 5 in our Machzor for the Baruchu.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed.
You may be seated. We continue in the middle of the page.
ומעביר יום, ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום, ומביא לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המרהיב ערבים.
We continue on page 6.
אהבת עולם את ישראל אהבת אותו. כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, בהם נגב יומם ולילה, ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
We continue individually on page 7.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר באמת. וזכרתם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Close. ומלכותו ורצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh ve'eleh. מלכות חרובניך, בוקע לפני משה, זה לי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי כבוד אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גל Yisrael.
We continue on page 9 with Hashkivenu.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל Yerushalayim.
Amen. We continue on page 10 with a special Tik'u B'chodesh Shofar. We announce how the shofar is going to herald in this new year. The shofar we'll hear actually tomorrow live in our service. We imagine that mighty voice and let it call us to action. Page 10.
תיקו בחודש שופר וכעשה ליום חגנו כי חוק לישראל הוא משפט לאלוהי יעקב.
We rise if we're able for Chatzi Kaddish, page 10.
יקדל ויקדש שמי רבה
Amen.
בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חון וביומי חון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יש מרב המבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך יתברך וישבח ויפאר ויתרומם מבנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן ועלמא ואמרו amen.
We're about to go into the personal Amidah found on pages 11 through 17 in your Machzor. The opening images of the Amidah ground us in that deep, long-rooted tree that connects us to our ancestors, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, orienting us towards our history, our family, our loved ones. And as the Amidah continues and progresses, we eventually offer a prayer for peace for the entire world. And that's the progression that our internal work can lead us to, especially on Rosh Hashanah. We start with the local, we start with ourselves, our families, our loved ones, and God willing, our self-work will translate into greater work that embraces the whole world and promotes more peace and understanding in our whole universe. Amen. We continue page 11 individually.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. 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 Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
Yasher koach. In the beginning, God created all the animals, the fish, the birds, the bugs. But when it came to the human beings, God decided to go a different route. Unlike every other creature that God had created, the human being would be given a special gift. The human being would be created in God's image. And so God revealed this decision to the angels. And the angels were outraged. How could something as pure, as precious, as powerful as the divine image be entrusted to a creature so cruel, deceitful, and corrupt as the human being? If human beings possessed God's image, the angels reasoned, they'll think the way God thinks. They'll feel the way God feels. And they'll create the way God creates. They'll imagine themselves like God, and they'll rule over each other, they'll lord over each other, and they'll also tyrannize the entirety of creation. They'll be filled with a sense of tyranny and egotism. And they'll demand that all of the other creatures come and worship them. They'll think it's their right to impose their will on others. And not only that, the human beings the angels feared would destroy all that God has made and ruin all that God loves. Simply, we cannot let this happen, the angels said. So they figured a way to save God from this folly. They would steal the divine image. And so once they possessed the holy image, they knew that they had to conceal it somewhere. They have to hide it in some place where humanity would never find God's image. The question simply is, where? Let's put it at the highest mountain, the very top. They'll never find it there, one angel suggested. Now, the other angels rejected that plan because one day human beings will learn how to scale the highest mountain. Okay, said another. Then let's hide the image of God into the depths of the ocean. That plan was rejected also because one day human beings will plumb to the very heart of the sea. Another angel had a suggestion. What about we put it within the farthest reaches of the wilderness? They'll never find it there. That plan was also rejected because one day human beings will traverse to the farthest reaches of the wilderness. One by one, more angels made suggestions only to be rejected summarily, until one angel, the most clever and shrewd of them all, stepped forward and said, I have a plan. We're not going to conceal this image at the highest mountain, nor will we hide it in the depths of the sea, nor will we scatter it in the farthest reaches of the wilderness. Let's place it deep within their hearts, deep in their souls. They'll never go looking for it there. So God allowed the angels to proceed as they planned and hide the most precious image deep within the heart of every human being. And to this day, it lies hidden in a place that is deeper and farther away than any place that any one of us can reach on our own. But not so deep and not so far away that someone who knows us and loves us can easily reach it and cherish it. We need each other in order to unlock that divine image, that potential, and see it for what it truly is. It's an incredible reminder of the essential sanctity of each of us as we remember again the creation of humanity on this day of Rosh Hashanah in our tradition. When we think about creation, especially today, which is on the secular calendar, Labor Day, we think about all that humanity can do. We think about the people whose hard efforts make our lives possible. When I was younger, one of my best friends from school was Israeli, and I remember sitting at her parents' house on Labor Day when we had school off, and her father laughing, throwing his head back, saying, "Leave it to Americans. What do they do on Labor Day? They don't work." But I think it's important to take days where we're not working to reflect on what it means to work. This is actually exactly what Rosh Hashanah is. We're not allowed to work, but we're not allowed to work so that we can think about all the hard work we have done and that we have to do. Rosh Hashanah is an incredible pairing with Labor Day because it's a labor of love. We emulate God when we put our greatest work forward. And God's greatest work is the creation of the world. And God continues to create every day. And so when we aspire to God, we create. I want to share with you a beautiful poem that this year turns 70 years old, penned by Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan, along with J. Paul Williams and Eugene Cohen, a prayer for Labor Day. Our God and Creator, you have created human beings in your image, endowing them with creative power. You've given them a resourceful mind and skillful hands, wherewith they can dominate the world of nature. They can unlock its powers and make them serve their every want. We thank you, O God, for the capacity to work wherein human beings are different from all other living beings. For these others survive by adjusting themselves to their environment, but humanity has survived by transforming its environment and adjusting it to itself. Grant that we may never abuse those powers that give dignity to our work, that we may ever remember that our creativity is your gift, designed for your service, and that when our plans conform not to your designs, the structures we create collapse over our heads. Give us the humility and the wisdom to employ our labors only to just ends, to purposes from which all can benefit and from which none will suffer hurt. Check in us the greed of acquisition and the lust of domination, that we may enjoy all the fruits of our toil without denying to any the fruits of theirs. Let us never forget the dependence on one another and on that spirit of brotherhood, which is a manifestation of your love. For each of us by themselves is weak and helpless, and only our cooperation makes us and our work effective. The tools that we use, the knowledge we apply, the very bread we eat are not of our single creation, but are the accumulated product of toil and skill of many workers over many generations. Inspire us, therefore, with loyalty to all who work and with a spirit of mutual helpfulness and brotherly love. Give us the strength to produce abundantly, the justice to distribute equally, and the wisdom and self-control to consume prudently the goods that satisfy our needs, that we may know all the joy of creativity, the thrill of comradeship, the zest of health, and the peace of mind that are the reward for human labor when it conforms with your divine will. And so we turn back now into our Siddur for the Kaddish Tikabel. We rise over Abel, page 19. Amen.
בהלמד דברי חירותי ומלכותי בחיי חורים ומכון וחיי רחוב בישראל בגלה בזמן קריב בהימרו.
אמן. ישמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולם עלמיה. יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתנועם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי קודשה. בריחו. לילה לילה מכל ברכתה בשירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירם לימה והימרו. אמן. יקבל צלותון ובלתון דכל ישראל, חתם ובהוני בישמעיה והימרו. אמן. אמן. יש תמרה במין שמעיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל והימרו. אמן. אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל והימרו. אמן. Amen. Continue on page 25 with Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נשמע בזמן. על כן נקבל לך אדוני אלוהינו במהרה בימינו. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Continue now with Psalm 27, a psalm for the season.
לדוד אדוני אורי וישימי. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אותה אבקש, אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אותה אבקש. שבתי בבית אדוני כל ימי חיי, לחזות בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו. שבתי בבית אדוני כל ימי חיי, לחזות בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו. הורני אדוני. ולהאמנתי לראות בטוב אדוני בארץ חיים, קבל אדוני חזק ואמץ ליבך וקבל אדוני.
We'll continue with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 26. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'olema divra kir'uteh, v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'gala ubizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam ule'olamei olamaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yithalal shmei dekudsha b'richu. Leila, Leila, min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'olama v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalom Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshevei tevel v'imru. Amen. You may be seated. First, foremost, I want to wish a Shana Tova to everyone. It is wonderful to see everyone here. I get to have a live group to daven with us here, which is very exciting, and I want to say hello to all of us joining us virtually, wherever you are. Thrilled that you can join us, and we're so happy to have Chazan Ariel with us here all the way from Boston. Thank you so much, Chazan Ariel, for your beautiful davening, Yesher Koach. And I want to just say a huge Yesher Koach as well in the back. Steve Young made all this possible, this whole setup, last minute. He's a hero. So we'll say Yesher Koach to Steve. And a huge thanks as well to Kim and to Norma and to John, as always, and to Barbara and to Sherry, and to everybody who's made this possible. I want to wish everyone a Shana Tova, and also just remind you that tomorrow we'll be here at 9 a.m., so you can join us either in person or virtually. And then tomorrow at 4 p.m. On Marble Court by the stream, we'll be doing the Tashlich service. So you can come, just join us. No reservations needed, just show up. And again, want to wish everyone a sweet, happy, healthy new year. We'll conclude our services tonight on page 28 with Yigdal.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, נמצא ואינט אל מציאותו, אחד ואין יחיד כייחודו, נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו, אין לו דמות הגוף ואינו גוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו, קדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון ואין ראשית לראשיתו. הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו ומלכותו, שפע נבואתו נתנו אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו. לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד, נביא ומביט את אמונתו, תורת אמת נתן לעמו, אל היד נביאו נאמן ביתו. לא יחליף האל ולא ימיר דתו, לעולמים לזולתו. צופה ויודע סתרנו, מביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו. גומל לאיש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לרשע רע כרישתו. ישלח לקץ ימין משיחנו, לפתות מחכה קץ ישועתו. מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עדי עד שם תהילתו. מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עדי עד שם תהילתו.
Yasher Koach, Shana Tova, everybody. Shana Tova. Yeah, na 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 na, yeah, na 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 na,